What's happening, YouTube? I've been going for about a week, but the politics kept on running. You've got a stack show coming on tonight. There's so much stuff I got to get to that I didn't get a chance to talk about while I was gone. From Trump pretending like he ain't in them Epstein files. No, good and damn well he in there and is running around telling everybody if he was in there, the Democrats would have dropped it. I'll tell you why the Democrats didn't drop it. We've also got other Republicans behaving badly. How many times have I told y'all when Republicans project on someone else is what they're secretly doing? How about we got a state superintendent that was watching kiddie porn on his office laptop? What in the hell is going on? We got congresswomen saying that the health and safety of the American people is not what they're in office for. We got that. We got backlash from Michael Rapoport actually saying that he liked Hulk Hogan the human, and didn't care about some of the other stuff. We've got all that. And we've got a funny news story that you guys are going to like. All I can say is, women, make sure you keep your belt buckles nice and tight. And joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a very, very special guest. I'll introduce him once we get here. Politics of Being Black starts right now.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You guys know him as the most acclaimed movie critic in all of America, the award-winning movie critic in America, who decided that he wanted to talk a little politics today. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you E-Man. What's going on, E-Man?
Nothing much, brother. Thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate it.
We appreciate having you and just having a team effort to understand what's going on in politics, getting perspectives that someone might have overlooked or we might have overlooked. It always helps when you're dealing with the type of administration we currently have. Mm-hmm. And I think we've got a lot of issues to cover. Mm-hmm. So everybody, please subscribe to his channel for the latest and greatest in movie reviews. Like I said, he's an acclaimed award winner. You want to check him out. And you know, you can still come to me for all your political needs, and I'll break it down and make it so an 8th grader can understand it. And you can also check me out on the podcast too. So E-Man, I'm going to go ahead and jump you right on into this. Okay. I have a segment that we like to call We've Had It. This is my homage to the good women of the I've Had It podcast. Only difference is I call it We've Had It. What is a petty grievance that you have just had it with this week that you want to get off your chest?
And I don't know if this will segue into some of the stuff that we're talking about later, but
it will.
I'm tired, and I've had it with white apologies. Ooh. And what I mean by that is you see these knee-jerk reactions. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that because I don't want to get politically too incorrect. Okay. I'm tired of white supremacy ideology apologies. It's not just white people. No. It's people that have adopted white supremacy ideology consciously or unconsciously and do these knee-jerk type of defenses for white supremacy and or racism, and then all of a sudden here comes the apology. So let me give you some examples. You mentioned Michael Rapoport. You sat here or another social media guy, Joey Swole, who he's always on social media. He's always getting on people for bad gym etiquette and stuff. Or the other streamer that was on the Breakfast Club, Neon or whatever. Yeah, you got these people that will be doing these things that are either racist or they jump to the defense of racist. Again, whether they know they're racist or not. And then when they get challenged, when they get held accountable, all of a sudden they come out with these apologies that, in my opinion, are usually hollow. And what I mean by that is when you make a mistake, you have to acknowledge the mistake. It's not a question of, oh, I'm sorry to whoever I might have harmed, or I just no. Hey, I made a mistake. I didn't know Hulk Hogan said racist stuff, and I shouldn't have jumped to the irrational knee-jerk reaction to defend him when I had no idea what he did or what caused those issues. Or I built an entire platform of streaming, of saying racist, derogatory things about Black people and Black culture. And only time I'm going to say anything about it is when I get called out to my face. And even when that happens, I still give a hollow apology of just like, I was going for the clicks and views. I said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. No, you said some racist stuff. Like, just stand on business. You was racist. You said some racist things. You defended a racist person. Call it out for what it is. Don't sit here and act like we're dumb. I'm sorry, and I've seen people saying this. Racism is not a mistake. It's not like, oh, damn, I just tripped on some racism. That's not how it works. Racism is a conscious decision that you make, and you act on it. In this case, some people defending it blindly, ignorantly, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it because a lot of times you'll see people do these things, say these things. When they get called out, then they flip it and be like, oh, I tried to do so much good, and now I made one mistake, and now everyone's no, own it. Just own it. If everybody got on you, you should have been like, damn, I didn't know, my mistake. What he did was wrong. What I said was wrong. This was racist. I'm going to go do the work. I'm going to go do better next time. That's a little bit better. Next time, maybe try and do some research. Maybe try and like investigate why. You have to think to yourself, like, Lamont, if you posted something and let's just say whatever you said or did, all the ladies in your comments started coming for you and saying like, yo, what you said was wrong. Now, what's your first response? Is it to defend yourself and be like, hey, or are you actually going to think and look at what you said and be like, dang, okay, let me reflect on what I said? Because sometimes, even as men, we have blind spots. Sometimes we don't see or think like women. So we'll say something or react to something and have no idea how it affects people. So, I'm just tired of, like, we're in 2025. You still got white supremacy ideology just all over the internet. And when it gets called out, you still get these hollow, empty apologies. And the reason why that's a problem is because it means that you still don't get it. And it's probably still going to show up in your life, and you probably won't even be able to recognize it a second or third or fourth time. And that's why I'm like, I'm just tired. I'm tired.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you he was going to be explosive. Boy, he more explosive than the dancers in the club on Freaknik. Good gracious. I don't even know how to respond to all that, but I'll give a short rebuttal to just kind of say why we're seeing this. So, E-Man, in my opinion, well, it's not even my opinion. There's more than anecdotal evidence to support what I'm going to say. People are behaving and supporting racists because the climate of our government and the people running our government are comfortable with it. There's no consequence for being called a racist no more. And in some cases, there are a lot of these country rednecks that'll just fucking tell you, I'm racist. What you going to do about it? And there's not anything you can do about it until they break the law. And that's when you have to come down with the heavy hand of consequences. But this administration and police forces that support the administration, when racism happens, they're not coming down with no sharp hand. And online, there is no police for racism. All the people that are supposed to police racism have now all of a sudden decided that they want to be with the fucking racists. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, Elon Musk. Yes, the guy that does the other one. They all have decided that they want to align with racists because they feel like they're untouchable and they're in power. So yes, Black people, we're tired We are tired. We've been carrying this burden since they brought us here on the boat. Didn't y'all see Kunta Kinte got his foot chopped off? We tired. So I completely agree with E-Man. Stand on business. If you really don't care and you're racist, just say it. Just say you think you are better than black people or any brown person, and you're going to do anything you can to keep yourself in a position higher than them, no matter what you got to do to step on them. Just be honest about it. And so I agree with E-Man, and what E-Man said ties into my I've had it, except for it's more one of those things where as minorities, men, women, for the longest time, and E-Man is close to my age. So he's seen an era come through where we didn't have the internet. We had the phone where you had the rotary. You had to dial up the rotary. And for some reason during that era, racism was tamed down. And we was taught in school, oftentimes by Republicans, that we need to have professional decorum. We need to do the right thing. Basically, all the shit Hulk Hogan told us, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and you shall prosper. Well, just like Hulk Hogan, ladies and gentlemen, we learned that all that shit was steroids and bull jive, because the Republicans tell us all that stuff. They tell you to go by the Bible doctrine, live by the Bible doctrine, so that they can suppress you. All the while, these depraved individuals, when they accuse somebody else of sex crimes, they're secretly doing it themselves. So my I've had it, E-Man, is I'm sick of Republicans telling people to do the right thing and they do something different. And then when you really dig in behind the weeds, you come to find out they are the child molesters. They are the ones watching kiddie porn on school property, blaming it on Democrats. And ladies and gentlemen, that does segue into a story. E-Man, rebuttal me. Am I wrong for calling these people the ultimate hypocrites that need some consequences?
Absolutely not. I mean, obviously I have my Christian background. And one of the things that have always perplexed me is how a political party, and here's the thing, we do not live in a theocracy. Okay. Nope. Now, I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying America is not a theocratic union at all. But the Republican Party has taken it upon themselves. Nobody asked them to do this, to take on the Christian mantle and put that out there as their supporting foundation. The problem is that, as you mentioned, they put out there, basically it's do as I say and not as I do. Because to me, I don't understand how you can reconcile the idea that you would be against the concept like universal health care and still call yourself Christian. You mean to tell me the Jesus Christ that we claim to follow, who went out to the world to heal people and do all of this, you're telling me that he would actually be against you helping your fellow man or woman, those that are least of you, helping each other heal and get health care? You're telling me that your Jesus is telling you to not do everything in your power to uplift the poorest of us, but yet this political body has put forth policies that tend to benefit the rich far more than they benefit the least of us. So again, y'all could talk the talk. I'm just saying the walk ain't matching at all. So yeah, man, that's been the case. And it's probably even worse now, even for those that want to claim to be Christian nationalists, because they're even worse. They adopt the whole xenophobia idea, and it's like that's as anti-Christian as you can get. So 100%. Yeah, man, I don't. It's all a joke to me. It's hard to take them seriously when they don't even believe themselves.
No, and the politicians that push the Bible, they don't believe in it themselves. But the problem is we've got enough, and I hate to use bad names for the American electorate, but we have enough people who are not intelligent enough to separate their religion from the way our country is supposed to be ran. There's supposed to be a separation of powers from that. And what Republicans have found out over the last 50 years to play the long game, like you said, own being the party of Christian values, and your people are going to be so malleable in the head that you can tell them, well, the reason why we have to give this money to the rich is because God has blessed them to bless other people. And me and you, E-Man, we know good and damn well that trickle-down economics was never the right way for the economy to run to help everybody. We know that. But because these people can believe in a magical being, it makes them more susceptible to believe in a human being. And the Republican Party has really, really taken that and run. And I'll tell you, E-Man, I always say this, that it bothers me so much that them same group of people we're talking about always telling people socialization is wrong. But E-Man, would you know that those that say that, these business owners and rich people, they socialize the federal government every fucking day. They socialize the governments to cover their risk in business. And
Every
then
time.
when they get the capital gains, do you think they go out spreading that to everybody? No. That's
been my biggest issue. I'm like, trickle down economics, it's a great idea if it would actually be practiced, but it doesn't. How many times do we see these headlines? Corporations get XYZ tax cuts, all these benefits, increased profits. What do you ever hear after? I've never heard the headline on a mass level of look at all these new jobs that are open now, or look at all these increased wages, or look at these policies that were pushed by the corporations to increase the minimum wage for their workers. No. We usually hear time for layoffs. Oh, time for the top CEOs to get that bonus. I don't see at any point when this philosophy has been put into practice where people actually feel it. I'm like, where we've had 4 years with Trump in 1.0 where he gave that whole hike up, the to the rich or whatever. What came of that? What came of it? What new jobs were open because of that? All I saw was CEOs getting, extra bonuses and stuff left and right. What are we talking about? So now it would be different, and I don't mind even giving the opposition parties like a hint, a little leg up. If you want to do that, I actually don't have a problem if you want to give tax incentives to corporations. We see stuff like that with movie studios, for example. Hey, if you shoot here, you get a tax break. But what does that usually translate to? If you're shooting here, you usually got to hire people that might be local. You're not about to ship everybody over and fly them out. No, you're going to hire local people. That works. I would be more inclined for any political party, if you're going to start enriching people, give them the carrot, but you got to have them actually work for it. If you, lay out XYZ jobs, you get this tax benefit. I think that's simple. Do the thing, and then you get the reward. But now we're in a system where they rather give the reward first, and nobody cares if the other thing happens.
And I'll get us to some of the subjects, because one of the subjects we're going to talk about the markets and Trump's economy that has taken fold so far is that the people that fall for the banana in the tailpipe and vote the Republicans don't realize they're screwing themselves all in the name of just feeling good to see somebody own the libs. And what's so silly about it, E-Man, is that they don't understand that this same group of people are putting in the financial policies that harm them. One of the first things Trump administration did when he got in office, E-Man, was get rid of the Consumer Protection Bureau. Now, why would you do that? Why would you do that? There's only one reason why you would do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know why.
Yeah, you know why. You know why. And so, and how many MAGA people you think can tell you that that's happened? Probably zero. They don't care.
They won't know until they start getting hit with those overdraft fees, or when they are being taken advantage of by certain corporations, and all of a sudden they realize, wait a minute, I'm not a millionaire. I can't hire a lawyer. I can't get a class lawsuit. I can't get justice. They're just going to sit here and be like, well, there's nothing I can do. Meanwhile, you had those protections that kept us away from all those abuses. Facts. And people took it for granted.
Yeah. Wow. And we haven't even really started on the subject, ladies and gentlemen. But y'all can take them gems and use them however you want. Purpose of this is to show you how politics affects minorities and then everybody in the general population, and to help you have a little ammunition when you go out there and you're having to debate or try to get people out of that MAGA bubble. That's the only way we're going to get this country at least pointed in a direction that is not an autocracy, a theocracy, or any ocracy except for democracy. So, E-Man, I've got so many subjects. We ain't going to be able to get them all. So let me just go. Let me get to the funny one first. Let me get to a funny one. And if we get through all of them, I got a good one that ends on movie stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a criminal on the loose, ladies and gentlemen.
Didn't he get elected?
No, not that one.
Oh,
not
okay.
that one. Not that one.
Okay.
But I'm sure that one does what this one did. Even there's a criminal on the loose that's running around sniffing ladies' butts. Bus stops, gas stations. And I said to myself, E-Man, he just ain't came around the right butt, because he must not sniff the woman who's on her period, because he probably wouldn't be sniffing no more butts. But let me give you the news story on what he did and where he's going, and then we can have all the jokes you want on Brother Butt Sniffer.
New tonight at 11 is a brazen Burbank butt-sniffing bandit back at it. Burbank police say the same crouching creeper they first encountered in 2021 has been arrested again. This video is from a similar case we reported on back in 2023. Burbank police identify the man as Khalees Crowder. Detectives say they responded Tuesday to a report of a suspicious person loitering in the women's department in Nordstrom Rack in the Burbank Empire Center. When they got there, the man was already gone, but he was soon spotted inside the nearby Walmart. Police say they watched him on Walmart surveillance cameras as he entered the women's clothing section. That's where police say they witnessed Crowder crouching near a woman and sniffing her. They arrested him, on charges of loitering with intent to commit a crime. His bail set at $100,000.
I'm sorry. Oh my! So first of all, ladies, this is a sexual crime, ladies and gentlemen. I make no mistake about it. You can't just run up on somebody and sniff their ass without their consent. But I'm laughing because if there's ever a perfect face for butt sniffing, look at this MF right here. Wide nostrils, big ass ears, bald head, sharp nose to really fit all that up in the butt crack like a butt crack sniffing sandwich. Bruh. This is the type of stuff children do in their earlier stages. I forgot what philosopher talked about the different stages children go through, the oral and all that. This is the type of shit kids do. E-Man, what is wrong with this dude? Is he not getting none at home, or is this just some psychological thing he needs to work out?
I absolutely think I have a lot of things that I'm thinking. First of all, why did it have to be a person of color? Because I don't know if he's black. I don't know if he's Middle Eastern. I don't know. But my heart already goes down that it has to be a person of color, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Second, I'm shocked that this is not someone from Florida. We already know all the crazy stories come out of Florida.
Or Texas. Or Texas.
But usually Florida. Because it sounds like some Florida man type of behavior. Third, I'm now asking questions about, like, if they don't actually touch you, is that still a crime? Because I can see if, like, okay, I stuck my nose and I rubbed against you, I touched you. That's assault, sexual assault. What? That's assault. I get that. I'm just saying, sniffing somebody's butt aura. Is that? You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like, where do we go? I don't know the technicalities for this.
Now his mutant power is this damn nostril of his, okay? That's his mutant power, right? And E-Man, maybe he's the only person who can get right close to an ass and smell it because of those mutant powers. But the average Joe, unless you're sniffing a woman who's in her gym leggings or she's at the gym, trying to sniff a butt through some jeans, you're not going to smell nothing. You're going to literally have to shove your nose up in that piece.
I'm just curious about what does the letter of the law actually say? I'm not condoning any of this. I'm just curious. What does the letter of the law say? Like, thou shalt not put thy nose within 2 centimeters of somebody. Like, how does this work?
Well, E-Man, because this channel is a channel that digs for facts, and we go through the facts. Let me give you the facts on all this.
Okay.
I said to Chat Donatello, is sniffing butt some kind of a sexual offense? Chat Donatello said yes. Sniffing someone's buttocks in public without their consent can absolutely be classified as a sex offense depending on the jurisdiction and circumstances. Here's how and why.
Yes.
Why it's considered a
it's clearly a kink. It's clearly a kink.
Why it's considered a sex offense? Non-consensual sexual behavior. Approaching someone from the behind and sniffing their butt without permission is invasive, sexual in nature. Now I don't know about it. Well,
that's the part I'm like, I don't know.
Because look, when kids do it, it's not sexual. I can tell you that right now.
Well, when dogs do it, it's not really sexual per se.
No, it's not.
I'm like, does this man think he's a dog? Like, does he have some other psychological issues going on? Okay. I mean, clearly he needs some mental help. Clearly.
Yeah. All right, let me read the rest. Violation of personal space. This action involves this action involves intimate physical proximity, often in a way meant to gratify the perpetuator sexually, which can constitute sexual battery or lewd and lascivious behavior. Number 3, intent matters. Now, this is the hard part to prove. If the person is doing this for sexual arousal or gratification, that fits legal definition in many states for sex-related offense.
Yeah,
there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
I think the personal space is probably the easiest one, because you can't just be all up in somebody's personal space. Like, they can, claim defense, or they can claim, I feel like my life is in threat. So that is probably the easiest thing that, depending on the statute, that you can go off of. But this guy needs help.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, post your comments. Let me know, when was the last time you sniffed a good butt, and when was the first time you
comment on that. Don't comment on that.
Yes, comment, and then let me know, when did you sniff a bad one that made you quit sniffing asses, okay? God. Post your comments, ladies and gentlemen. I'm interested to hear this one.
I'm trying to help y'all out.
All right, E-Man, now we'll go.
What did I get into?
Well, it's political. It's a crime.
Yeah.
I told you, I'm blowing up for some reason. I'm doing something right.
Right.
Oh, by the way, thank you for coming to this channel, man. It was only created a month ago, and you taking a risk on a small channel with 5,000 subscribers. Even though I'm streaming to my main channel, this is the one that's getting the SEO. So I'm very grateful for you to come and ride with us.
Of course.
This is a subject E-Man wanted to talk about, and that's all this stuff going on with Donald Trump and the Epstein files, and him trying to deny the Epstein files as if he wasn't this man's best friend for several years. So, E-Man, I got a couple of videos we're going to watch, and then we can just kind of comment on where things are with the Epstein files right now. The first one you're going to hear is basically Trump denying things, talking about why he separated from Jeffrey Epstein, and none of it has anything to do with the sexual depravity that was going on with these young women. Take a listen to this.
So, Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Were some of them young women? Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women?
What did they do? In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Jeffrey?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her.
E-Man, first of all, let's just get something straight here. I've heard people that have been to Trump, Mar-a-Lago and his towers and all that. That's not a fucking spa. It's a lagoon. It's a black lagoon. I done heard the bad things about this place. It's fake gold. It's the stuff that if you wear, your neck turn green. It's a lagoon, ladies and gentlemen. Stop calling it a spa. Secondly, the girl that's speaking out, Virginia, that they're talking about, basically said Trump ushered her to Jeffrey, and then Jeffrey later took her, and Trump was upset, but that wasn't the thing that broke him up. What broke him up was the type of issue that Trump has. Jeffrey Epstein left Trump with a bill for about $200,000 and didn't pay it. That was the real thing that broke him up. And having said that, I'll give the floor to you before we see the next gaffe by our president that tells you he knew what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that we've been accustomed to hearing Trump for at least 10 years now, right? Like ever since this dude has gotten onto the political stage, it's hard for me to believe that anyone can't decipher what he means nowadays or what his tactics are. I know he's got a whole bunch of people that want to interpret everything for him, but this man is not that hard to read. There are certain ways that he talks, certain things that he says. He tells on himself all the time. Now, do I think that he had something to do with Jeffrey and all that? I think that's actually a low percentage. Like, I'm not going to say that I'd be shocked if that ever came out. So I'm going to actually give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he wasn't involved with the trafficking or even the engaging with minors. I'm going to give him that benefit of the doubt. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter, because even if he's completely innocent of not engaging with that behavior, he is 100% complicit in covering up for other people, because he has the power right now. And the thing is, I don't care what they say, he has transformed this entire branch of government, whether it's the executive, the legislative, and even the judicial, to operate according to how he wants. We should have a separation between the executive branch and the Department of Justice. He does not operate that way. He does not do it that way. So we already know if there is something that he wants to be known, he'll let it be known. If there isn't, we know he has full authority to make it happen. And the fact that this is being covered up, listen, he's in a lose-lose situation, because either he's in the Epstein files for the wrong reasons, or he's not a part of the Epstein scandal and he's protecting pedophiles. That's all. Like, bro, you could be 100% innocent, but you're protecting pedophiles. I don't care. And he said this. He said this during his Fox News interview, like, I'd release it, but, I don't want to ruin nobody's lives. And, he tells on himself all the time. He don't want to ruin the lives of his rich friends. You're protecting pedophiles.
Exactly.
This is what I'm talking about with Maggot. Like, y'all can't defend this stuff, because no matter what he says or does, it's a losing issue.
Let me tell you something about Trump. Trump is just like the booty bandit butt sniffer, except for Trump. Trump is a dictator's butt sniffer. Whoever's the highest dictator, he'll sniff their ass, might even kiss their dick too. Let me tell you about Trump. There's a reason why him and so many powerful men are avoiding that Epstein file. And this is a knock on Democrats too, because you could have released some of it. Now, the reason why they didn't release all of it was because some of this was civil. A good majority of it was civil and sealed off by a federal court. Biden would have had to do something Trump is willing to do. Biden didn't want to do. That was go down to the DOJ and the FBI and say, whatever you got, unseal it.
Right.
And then the other reason why Democrats didn't want to do it is because they felt like if they would have unleashed these files during the election time, that would have looked desperate. And oftentimes when you unleash something bad on Trump, the people like it more. Even depravity of messing around with minor girls. And the reason why they like it more, E-Man, is because it's a DNA trait in rich old white guys that for some reason, after they get divorced, they got to go get them a woman that's 35 years younger than them. That is in their DNA. And here's another dot I'm going to paint for you. There are football owners in that paper. You remember Robert Kraft getting popped at the $5 parlor? Well, guess where some of them girls came from? Mar-a-Lago.
Whoa.
And guess where some of those girls that was in that parlor went to? Epstein Island. Guess who got caught in that parlor? Robert Kraft. Now, do y'all think Robert Kraft was the only one getting the rocks off? Now, here's the problem. I don't understand why men just won't make prostitution legal. I think they feel like they'll give the women too much power and they would have to pay for what they're illegally doing, because when in this country, the law is not fair. If you're rich, you are super protected and you can get away with a lot of things that they fight to put laws in place so that you can't do because they can do it. That's one big issue. And the second big issue is there are too many rich donors on that list. There are way more rich donors that are in support of the Republican Party than they are the Democratic Party. Now, let me let you take a listen to something from the I've Had It podcast where they was just kind of talking about another gaffe Trump made. And I want to see what you think about this one.
He said something this morning that blew me away.
And many other people that are very big people, nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
The privilege, like this. Imagine saying that now. Like, we've gone through 3.5 weeks of the worst news cycle of Donald Trump's entire life, where most of the country is like, okay, what are your links to this famed, notorious pedophile? And the first thing he says 3 weeks in about this is that he didn't have the privilege of going to this guy's island.
I mean, I'm just like, he is a train wreck. He's off the rails.
E-Man, that right there should be enough for all the Christian Bible thumpers who are faking it to say enough is enough. But it's not. And one reason it's not is because they live in a news bubble, a social media bubble that does not report that this buffoon says stuff like that. Even if it was a Freudian slip, it's still the kind of Freudian slip you can't let happen. The privilege to go to an island where there are underage girls. I got a 5-year-old daughter. The privilege? Come on, man.
So I think you're giving him too much credit. I think that they do know that these things, that he says these things. I do not disagree. Some of the stuff gets reported on Fox News, the right-wing stuff that they listen to.
Yeah.
First of all, talking about the privilege, I mean, Freudian slip, maybe. But even at the same, that's like me saying, like, man, I never had the privilege to go into a Diddy freak off. You know, like, who says stuff like that?
Speaking of Diddy, he's considering giving Diddy a pardon, by the way.
Of course, right? But no, I do think you're giving him too much credit, because I think what people forget is what this country was founded on was a level of white supremacy, of course, but also cognitive dissonance. This is not new. You're talking about, let's have white supremacy and let's have our Christian cake and eat it at the same time. But that's how cognitive dissonance works. It keeps two radically opposed ideas separate but close together but they can't touch, right? They can't. If they touch, the worlds explode, right? So when it comes to MAGA, I mean, the problem that they have is they'll see these things, they'll hear these things, and they'll be like, I can't let this permeate my mind because it'll destroy the other thing that is holding this together. I can't let these things touch. And what I mean by touch is you have to look at MAGA like a cult, because it is by definition a cult. And when you look at cults on the most basic fundamental level, you have two factors: the leader and the doctrine. Those two things have to walk side by side, but they can't intertwine. They cannot, you cannot defeat one. If you destroy the leader of a cult, the cult goes away. If the doctrine, the beliefs of the cult are challenged, or if they're proven wrong, it doesn't matter what the leader says. The cult stops, right? So right now, you have the leader in a position that could be compromising, but the challenge is the doctrine of, we don't support pedophilia. We don't support, because they had the whole Pizzagate thing. They had the whole, all the stuff, right? The deep state is protecting pedophiles. Now y'all are the deep state, right? Now y'all are the ones that are in power. So what happens when your leader threatens your doctrine? Something's got to give. And this is where you're going to see them bend over backwards, but there's only so far you can bend, because like I said, he's in a lose-lose situation. Either you were part of it doing those crimes, or you're protecting those that did those crimes. And when one of those things gets fully exposed, the leader of the leader, the doctrine is going to be challenged. So let's just say we find out the Epstein files or whatever it is releases, and we find out that, yes, bad rich people did things, and the whole time Trump knew about it and didn't do anything because he wanted to protect his friends. How do you rationalize your doctrine of being part of MAGA? Because now you're basically saying pedophilia doesn't matter. Protecting minors doesn't matter. Remember, protecting minors was the whole reason why y'all jumped on the trans people, right? Y'all jumped on the trans people because we have to protect our young girls, right? Y'all jumped on Pizzagate, and it was cool when it was the Clintons and it was all these Democrats that y'all wanted to attack because y'all wanted to protect the kids. Y'all jumped on, abortion and making sure that, it was, we get rid of pro-choice because you want to protect the children. That's core to your doctrine. So you're going to have to make a choice. Either get rid of your doctrine or get rid of your leader. And if you do either one, your whole foundation dies. And that's where they're at right now. And I'm here for it. That's why I'm like, listen, I'm okay with Democrats not doing anything. George Carville said that once the election happened. They was like, what should Democrats do? What's their next move? He was like, do nothing. Do nothing, because the Republican Party does not know how to govern. They only want power to get what they want, but when they're in power, they cannot do things for the people, and that will get exposed. They have no one to blame right now. It's just like, 8 years ago when they tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act? They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the president, they had everything, but they got themselves in trouble because they realized everybody kind of likes having the preconditions and stuff, and having that Affordable Care Act. They like that. So when they're in power, they do a terrible job, and they like to usually punch up, right? They like to say, oh, no, that's the Democrats' fault. No, that's Biden's fault. That's Obama's fault. Well, what happens when they're not in the picture? What happens when it's just you? So right now, man, he's digging his own grave.
Man, I hate to disagree, but I've seen this story play out. There's people that voted for Trump 3 times. I call their asses triple Trumpers. Sure. And you said so much. I got to just keep my brain in focus because you made so many points.
For doing too long.
Oh no, no. That it's just me and you, man. Do you? Number one, these people are in a delusional bubble the same way Wanda put put that city into a bubble.
Yeah.
And the psychology says you can't pierce the bubble by throwing facts at those people. So them understanding Trump is in that Epstein file, that's not going to work. You have to literally, kind of what you said, James Carville said, let them shoot themselves in the foot. But then you've got to go another step further and put that together in a good story that they can relate to. And that's what usually gets women and people out of Stockholm syndrome. And that's what we're dealing with the MAGA cult. That's one problem. But here's the biggest problem. White male culture is going to always supersede everything else. I don't care if it's pedophilia. I don't care if it's women's rights. The white male patriarchy is going to always be at the top of the ship, no matter what the injustice is, no matter what the crime is. And so having said that, they don't give a damn about him being on them Epstein files. They're going to talk it away. They're going to blame it on Biden because we've seen 3 election cycles. 2 of them, one of them had nothing to do with Democrats, but they still blamed it on Biden and Obama, and the people in the WandaVision MAGA bubble. Either they believed it or they didn't care because they wanted to see whites on top more than anything else. And so the only way that this country is going to get rid of this cancer we have, because Trump is a symptom of the cancer. The cancer is the people that continue to fall for this bull job that me and you have to walk around every day that voted for this MF for 3 times. The only way you break this, and I disagree with Carville, Democrats have got to be getting out here at the very least pushing a message of what they can effectively do when they get control, which is adding more socialization for middle class and poor, reducing some of the corporate giveaway and giving it to the people who can actually use the money to spend it to keep the circle of the economy going. That's one thing they got to preach. Number 2, they've also got to preach how, and this is a fundamental one for me, how they are going to start the long game the way the Republicans have done it since the 50s with religion. Democrats are supposed to be the party of facts. We have got to get to a point where we're forcing critical thought and factual history in the classroom from kindergarten, because these kids grow up not understanding the history of this country. They only get the Krispy Kreme glazed version. And if you don't get the real history, it becomes hard to have sympathy and apathy for the people that have been dealing with these issues. That's number 2. And last point of what we've got to see done to break this cancer we have, there's got to be stiff consequences when these people do wrong. These people feel emboldened to do right because for whatever the reasons, nobody has been willing to do anything with Trump. The separation of powers is not working because the Republicans that could help with the separation of powers have just decided to sit back like Putin did and let this useful idiot use the power of his population to let us continue to have power and get the evil things we want done. All we got to do to Trump is praise him a little bit, let him speak in front of the camera, let him go to his rallies like he's a damn good comedian, and he's going to be good, and we get what we want. The only way we change all that, E-Man, is the Democrats have got to institute some of these things I said to get the electorate to turn around and understand that these rich people who used to be Democrats, some of them, now they up there sitting on the podium with Trump, only care about one thing, and that's their money.
So I will push back gently on 2 things because I agree with your last point. I think that this is normally whole 500 years of history in this country, white male supremacy has absolutely trumped everything. No pun intended.
Right.
When in doubt, you lean on white male supremacy, and that's just where things might teeter to. Even if you tend to see some sort of positive change, any type of pullback is usually due to white male supremacy. So I agree with that. However, I do think that this is the first time that you have maybe the first challenge to white male supremacy, which is children. And we're not talking about black children, because we know they don't care about black children. We know that there are active politicians that are making legislations and policies that allow dirty water to be, to be pouring through the cities to allow black and brown children to just die. So we already know it's not black and brown children that matter, but white kids, white minors. That does hit a different, that hits a different chord. I don't think we've had that be radically opposed to white male supremacy yet. So that's one of the reasons why I'm very intrigued to see what happens with this whole Epstein thing, because this is a rare situation where we have something this potent, because I don't care who you are, whatever demographic you're coming from, we all love kids. Like, everyone loves kids. You might not love them all equally, but everybody loves kids, especially the ones that look like you. We're not talking about black and brown girls that have been in these Epstein files. We're talking about some white girls too. And y'all know how much they love to throw up everything when it comes to white girls that are in danger. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Second thing, I know you mentioned about the Democrats doing, pushing the facts and the critical thinking, and nothing would warm my heart more if that were the case, because, oh my God, critical thinking is a thing of the past, clearly, for the vast majority of Americans. So what I would argue in opposition to that is you can do that through policies and stuff, but you got to get back into power first. And if you're trying to get back into power using facts or critical thinking, you're behind the 8 ball already. You're playing from behind. It is not something that, because if it worked, we wouldn't have been here in the first place, right? So you have to think about what has the country become now, because you can't use the playbook from 2008. You can't use the playbook from 2012, 2020. No, you have to adjust to where you are now and meet the people where they are. I believe the people that do use facts and critical thinking, you don't have to appeal to them. They already know what, they're looking at the policies, they're keeping up with the news, they're probably informed. You don't need to speak to them. The people, I'm not saying you shouldn't have no policies, you should, but what you need to do, and this is what I wish, if I had a political think tank that I could just help the other parties with, I would straight up be like, if y'all don't hire half of your team to be political strategists and the other half to be psychologists, because what y'all need to tap into is emotional intelligence. You need to figure out, how do you move people emotionally? Because the one time that phrase, that term ever struck for me was when Bush got voted in a second time. And I was new into politics. I wasn't really, I was like, younger. I was trying to get into it. And I was like, wait a minute. How the hell did we vote for this dude to get back into office a second time when you actually had someone like Kerry, Senator Kerry, who was overly qualified to be in that role? And we picked the guy that we made fun of for the last 4 years of being a buffoon, an idiot, a fool, somebody like that was the running joke. And we said, let's put him back in the office. Why?
Technically, we didn't pick his ass the first time. The Supreme Court did.
I know. But that's where we were, right? But I'm just sitting there. I was like, what is it? And why was it? It was emotional intelligence, because when you ask the average voter, I could have a beer with him, or I believe that he'll defend us more. I feel safer under him. These were not like, I like his policies, I think he's a good leader. No. These were emotional things. So that's part of the reason I think that we need to lean more on connecting with people on an emotional level. I mean, Obama, if you think about it, he came at the perfect time, because we were in the middle of a recession. We were in the middle of wars. We were at the down point. We needed hope. We needed change. Those were all emotional appeals. They were not policy driven per se. Yes, he wanted to get us out the war. Why? Because we were tired of the war. Yes, we wanted him to do better political financial policies. Why? Because McCain wanted to stay in the war, which was driving us further into a recession. So when we need to get back to appealing to people on an emotional level, because we've already witnessed that they're not looking at policies. When they talk about the immigrants that they, ran their election on and stuff, didn't nobody care about how they were going to fix the, immigrant problem. They just stoked the emotional fervor of like, oh, they're taking your jobs. Oh, they're ruining the country. They're getting free stuff without. Nobody cared about the fact that they were going to bust up at Home Depots, that they were going to take, women and children at school, that they were taking people in the court. They didn't care that their due process was going to get skipped. They didn't care about none of that because the emotional chord was already struck. So Democrats need to realign and focus on the emotional appeal and then connect that with policies. But sad truth is, I don't think people care about policies. They care about how you're going to make them feel at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, I don't see how you think you disagree with me. When I started this thing, I said they're in a bubble, a WandaVision delusion. And how do you get them? You have to tell a story. Everything you just said is telling a story. I'm just saying they have to tell the story with facts, critical thought. You have to weave that story together about how you can make their lives better or equal to the lives of the people who are in power, who are rich. And one way to do that is you've got to level the playing field of the consequences, which is law, which is court, which is school. You have to tell these stories, and you've got to level that playing field, or else these people, a lot of these people are seeing exactly what's happening, like you said, with MAGA. Hell, they done built a damn alligator Alcatraz and got the nerve to be shipping a crocodile over there, which is going to fuck up the whole ecosystem. But I digress. Democrats have got to tell the story of how they can change and undo what Trump has did. And they've got to play dirty. One thing Democrats are going to have to learn to do, and you're going to have to stop doing this. Michelle Obama, when you first said this, I think I was getting destroyed online. I was like, no, we can't do that. They go high. When they go low, we go high.
Yeah, that's over with. That's over.
Look, the minute she said that, I got online. I was like, no, you can't do that with Trump people. And folks was coming at me left and right.
But like, you got to think about the messenger. She wasn't just, she has to say that as a Black person, because that, unfortunately, we can't afford to go lower as a culture, as Black people. So yes, you're right. But for the first Black president, you know what I'm saying? Like, and his wife, they can't afford to say otherwise. And that's the sad truth about it. But I agree with you that, the day I realized, I think it was when Mitch McConnell sat here and was like, oh, we're not going to bring in, we're not going to allow Obama
judge,
to Supreme Court justice. I was like, oh, all the rules are gone now. It's done. Yeah. Like they threw out all decorum. They threw out all the rules. The second I saw that, I was like, they are playing chess. And y'all over there playing Connect 4. Like, what are y'all even doing? Because the moment they did that, I'm like, y'all better pull out Article 5, Article 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Y'all better do everything because they don't care about tradition. They don't care about morals. These people would literally go on. I guess the other thing that was crazy, they would go on a news broadcast and sit here, get a video played of them saying ABC, and then they'd be like, yeah, well, XYZ. Just literally contradict themselves. Don't even care about it. I'm like, the second you see people blatantly lie in the face of their own words, you can't play with these people no more. You got to do everything, roll up your sleeves and get dirty. You have to.
But E-Man, that plays right back into the fact you've got to start teaching people critical thinking skills early on. Me and you are critical thinkers. And they can't just say something on a video, we see it, then come in our face and say, I didn't say it.
Right.
Problem is there are too many American voters who don't utilize critical thinking. They utilize their feelings more than they utilize critical thinking to actually say, this man lied to me. That should hurt their feelings. That should make them feel bad. And Democrats need to jump on the stories of how Trump fucked them over and how it's hurting people that are connected to these folks. Because when Trump said, grab them by the pussy, E-Man.
Yeah.
That should have made every MAGA woman say, no, no thanks.
So,
but you know what? It made them more emboldened to vote for him.
I think that you have a delicate balance that you have to address when you're talking about when Trump screws up. I mean, Trump literally called his own followers stupid, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be careful because a lot of times folks like that will also fall into the trap of the logical fallacy of looking at the messenger and not the message. Did Trump lie to you? Did Trump disrespect you? Absolutely. We know that that's true. But we don't like to think critically, so we'll fall into the trap of, but it's a Democrat telling me that, but it's a liberal telling me that. And for the last 8 to 10 years, I've been programmed to go ahead and hate and vilify anything and everything they say, even if it's true. So you have to be careful in saying that. And what I would just point out is just that when I'm addressing, or if the party or whatever side wants to address MAGA, first you got to let them sit in their own stink. You just have to, because they've already been told that they stink all this time. But the problem is the average human being, no one likes to undo their own beliefs. Do you know how difficult that is? Because you have to have a sense of humility. You have to have a sense of like, oh my gosh, I was wrong. Not to mention, especially when that belief is part of your identity. Now I got to change who I am. I got to change what I say. I got to change how I think. All because this one thing disrupted. So sometimes when people are faced with things that challenge their beliefs, you have to let them just sit in it and let that marinate. And at the same time, I do agree with you that that's the time when you need to propose another message. I heard a psychologist actually talk about this, and it was like, how do you win over Trump MAGA voters or whatever? And it's clearly not bashing them over the head with facts, because if that was the case, we wouldn't be here. It's not making them feel bad, because that's what made them go over there. It's not insulting them. It's none of that. It's offering, as you said, a better story. But I would take it up a notch and say, it's a better team for you to be on, because we're living in a very tribalistic society right now, thanks to social media. You got to be on one side or the other. Even when they talk to you, oh, you're just a leftist. Oh, you're just the rightist. Or you, no. Here's what we could offer on this side of the aisle. If things are bad over there, stay over there. Nobody's going to force you. No one's going to do nothing. But hey, if you want affordable wages, we got that. Hey, if
they don't want that
wait is too long, we got some policies that can fix that. Hey,
the problem is, E-Man, we're not fighting for the MAGA voter, because we're not going to get them. We're fighting for those people that sat on their hands, which was more than what voted for Trump and Kamala. That's who we got to get back in this pool, because the MAGA people is not coming.
I don't even want the MAGA people to come, because personally, I feel like they were always MAGA even before, right?
That's what I'm saying.
But one thing that does help is them not showing up. That's why I say let them sit in their own stink, because if they're sitting here having beef with Trump, that's not my business, right? I don't care. Y'all having a house divided cannot stand. Elon want to go make a whole third party? Go ahead and do it. I encourage him to do it. Go make an America First party. Whatever. Split y'all votes up, because since we're in a two-party system, unfortunately, that's going to cripple them by not showing up. Their greatest strength has been unification. It's been coming together no matter what and just showing up and voting. That's their biggest power. But if they got an infight going on, just like my man in Godzilla said, let them fight. And in the meantime, start creating your story, back it up with policies. And then if they don't show up, that's great. If they do, whatever. But that's how you win, I think.
Let us know what y'all think. We're dying to hear you. Here's the next one we're going to go to. This is another one of E-Man's choices, because this clock is ticking. And we both got families in hell. Like I said, I'm old as hell with young children. This next one is the thing that's been going on back and forth in social media with Hulk Hogan. And one of the bigger gaffes that got out, yes, I saw the stuff about Joey Swole, stuck his foot in his mouth and 10 toes popped out of his ass. But we also have Michael Rapoport, who I've been told y'all stop letting him come to the cookout. He showed his ass over the whole situation in Gaza. Michael Rapoport acts as though you can't be supportive of having peace for everybody. If you say that, then you are against Israelites, which is not the case. And it makes no damn sense. But anyway, now that he's shown his true colors, and I don't know how I get to be a visionary on so much of this stuff, and y'all beat me up in the beginning only to come back home. Here's Michael Rapoport again.
All right, this is now my third video about Hulk Hogan, which is more videos that I did about Hulk Hogan when he was alive. When I did my now controversial Hulk Hogan video 2 hours after he passed, right after he passed, I saw all this derogatory stuff about his association with Trump. And I said in the video, what we're not going to do is disrespect somebody who brought so much joy to the world. In the video, I also said I know he was involved with some controversy and I wasn't aware of it. I'm not a Hulk Hogan super fan. I'm not a wrestling head. I'm not a Hulk Hogan documentarian. I don't.
So here is my first response on Michael Rapoport's third response on the Hulk Hogan video. Now, he says he's not an expert on Hulk Hogan. He's not a documentarian on Hulk Hogan. But he is on hip-hop. He did a documentary called Beats, Rhymes, and Life, which is about a tribe called Quest. As a matter of fact, he's known widely for his connection, for his association with hip-hop, for his expertise on hip-hop. Some would call him a culture vulture. So I'm interested as to what he thought the controversy that he wasn't aware of was. We know that he didn't say anything derogatory about Jewish people because he'd responded to that. What did he think it was? Almost every time somebody gets to be glibly unaware of what the controversy is or what's going on, it is us, almost always. And your proximity to us should have taught you that. You know good and well when you can't give it a name, when you don't quite know what it is us. But you get to glibly say, I didn't know. Your proximity to us should have told you what it was. And if you didn't learn from that, you should have at least learned from higher learning.
Technically, E-Man, DL Hughley just said everything you said at the very beginning when you opened this when we started the show. So I'll give you this segue first. Go ahead and rap to me, my brother.
No, I mean, listen, it's mighty convenient that there is a privilege with whiteness, white culture, that you feel entitled to protect other white folks, and you don't even feel the need to first listen to those that are affected. And that's the part that it really irritates me. Whether it's Michael Rapoport, whether it's Joey Swole, whether whoever, y'all are not affected by whatever Hulk Hogan did. My first thing would have been like, dang, if I didn't know, I'd have been like, why does everybody hate him? What's going on? Read the comments, because I guarantee there was a whole meme going around of like literally what Hulk Hogan said about black people and his daughter and all that stuff. Like, this was not hard. Nobody saying you got to go watch 10 documentaries and you got to read 8 encyclopedias. Nobody saying you got to do that. You could have read your own comments, and I'm sure somebody would have posted, this is why we're mad. This is what the issue is. But nah, you decided, whether it's him or anybody else, let me get in front of a camera, and let me go on this whole diatribe and defend this man based off of the limited information that I know. And meanwhile, you don't realize you're being an accomplice to basically white supremacy ideology by not doing the work to dismantle it when it does affect others. And then y'all want to have the nerve to police people, the people that are affected. Oh, we're not going to do is talk about Hulk Hogan. Why not? Why not? I wish you would tell me not to talk. Hulk Hogan was my dream hero too as a kid. The character, but as I learned more about Terry, I was like, oh hell no, not this guy. You know what I'm saying? So like, nah, man, it takes a lot of gall. It takes a lot of privilege to be in that position And it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
That is another thing that MAGA and Trump have allowed to permeate in this country. A lot of things and behaviors people wouldn't normally act on, they have a license to act on it. Michael Rapoport know good and damn well about the history of Hulk Hogan. And he just thought he was going to fuck around and not find out. Well, you found out, buddy. Hulk Hogan was caught on a sex tape slurring the N-word about people in a derogatory way. This wasn't, I'm listening to Drake, nigga this, nigga that. No, it wasn't that. He was directly saying, I am superior to these people that I call the N-word. He got mad at his daughter because she brought home a black dude from Elon, and I live in Elon, North Carolina. He also got into another spat at WWE for being racial. He gets fired. But then they do decide to come back and reinstate him because he is, he votes Republican. And, those white guys, man, you get in that country club, bro, you can almost get away with touching pussies, grabbing pussies, sniffing butts, whatever you want to do. And then he shows up at Trump rally. Trump is associated with being a convicted sexual abuser, being corrupt, being a white nationalist, and you show up there and you take your shirt off for him after you done created this artistic image of telling kids to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. But you casually forgot to tell them to stick steroids in their butt. Stop it. Michael Rapoport, stop it. And anybody else, stop it. When somebody dies, you don't just get to talk about the good. The bad is going to come up too.
Yep.
And oftentimes, when it's white privileged people, we want to just gloss over the bad. And here's a perfect example of that, E-Man. And I've talked about this is another thing we got to fix in school. The founding fathers. All we want to talk about is, these men hopped on a boat because they were persecuted in England and they wanted to go find land to have a new religion and set up their own doctrine for what a country should look like. But then they don't want to tell you that not only did they steal the land from two people, but they enjoyed slavery. They took it from the queen and the king because the king and the queen sent them over here to find this place. And then when they do find it, they lie to the Native Americans, kill the Native Americans. But you don't want to talk about that in school because if you did, you'd be empowering kids too much to vote for the party that's fighting for equality for everybody. And Michael Rapoport, at one point in time in our community, that's what you stood for. And now we see your true colors and bruh, don't go get no more tan and trying to get black. Culture vulture. I'll leave it at that. Let us know what y'all think. We're interested to hear what you think. And did you like Hulk Hogan, the character? I can't lie. I love that character. I love the music. I loved all. Now, thankfully, I love Sting more than I loved Hogan. Thank God. Thank God for that. But anyway, let us know what you think. You can grab the podcast. Link is in the description. E-Man's channel. Link is in the description. We've got a little bit more for y'all tonight. We're doing an extended version of the show.
Let's go.
Which one you want, E-Man? Do you want to know about the markets and how Trumponomics have worked? Or do you want to hear someone who's paid by us gets on the camera and said it's not her responsibility to make sure we're safe and healthy?
Ooh,
Which one?
Let's go with that latter. Let's go with that latter.
Okay. Well, we'll go at this bitch. I call her Bitch Boebert. Take a look at this.
My job as your representative, as a congresswoman, is not to make sure that you are healthy and safe in every aspect of your life. If so, I'd probably send you a Peloton and a gym membership, and then make sure you're buckling your seatbelt every time you get in a car. Maybe I prevent you from even being in the car. But my job is to keep you free.
I'm sorry. Take it first, Eva.
I'm sorry. That was my first time hearing that. Like, your job is not to. Did she say safe and healthy?
Let me let you hear it again.
Please. This is my first time hearing it.
My job as your representative, as a congresswoman, is not to make sure that you are healthy and safe in every aspect of your life. If so, I'd probably send you a Peloton and a gym membership, and then make sure you're buckling your seatbelt every time you get in a car. Maybe I prevent you from even being in the car. But my job is to keep you free.
Do you know how antithetical all of that sounds to first of all, to sit here and say it's not my job to keep you healthy, wild. But from the quote unquote party of law and order,
oh my God,
your job is not to keep us safe. Y'all be the main ones that want to go to war and, bomb places. You not here to keep us safe? What good is our freedom if we're not safe and we're dead?
Well, here's the problem with that, E-Man. She's not keeping us free because Trump is turning the American government into a theocracy, excuse me, not an autocracy, and an authoritarian place. So how are you keeping us free?
You can't even have freedom of speech.
No.
That's done. That's done. Lady, the press, they going for Harvard. They what freedom of speech? Because this is more censorship than they used to complain about from other administrations. So what freedoms are we talking about? The freedom of having due process? Because that'd be gone too. What are we talking about?
No, well, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, did y'all see the way she was smiling when she said that? Sometimes it makes you wonder, are they putting on a show or are they real? Either way, it don't matter because it sounds and looks bad if you play in WWE when you're supposed to be representing people. I'm completely offended by that bitch.
Yeah.
She gives bimbo the picture for the stereotype. That's her. That is her. To get up there and insult your constituents by saying it's not your job to keep them safe and healthy. Lady, you're taking their money with your salary. They keeping you safe and healthy by putting a roof over your head, giving you health insurance, letting you go work out, letting you get 2 divorces, one of them where you stole somebody from somebody else. Lady, stop it. Stop it. And then to act as though you're fighting for freedom. What freedom is that? What freedom is that? I haven't seen that type of freedom. Have you, E-Man? Where is this great freedom she's fighting for?
Oh, freedom to be racist, freedom to be a white supremacist. I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've absolutely seen that.
Me too. You
could be you're free to be a fascist now. That's not a. You even want to be a Nazi? Go for it. You're free.
She even supports the freedom of people that broke laws to get out of jail that try to insurrect the White House.
Well,
just I support that. Do you support it for Black people too?
Of course.
Come on. Do you support it for my Hispanic brothers and sisters? Do you support all that? Of course not. You're doing it.
You're doing too much.
I can just tell you right now, nobody is going to support her plight in getting back in that office because they are sick of this woman. Please do everything you can. Get her up out of there. And this soundbite needs to be on a loop. Whoever's debating her, you need to say this 20 million times until she gives a correct answer, which we know she doesn't have the intelligence to do. Post your comments, people. Let us know what you think. So, E-Man, do you want to go to the markets or do you want to go to the hypocrisy of GOP men and their sex depravity?
Oh, let's do the markets. Let's do the markets. I know where you're going with the other one.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're in the midst of Trumponomics. And I don't understand. I do understand. It's the narrative. It's stories. Like I've said this whole entire show with E-Man. I've been conditioned through school and groups as a child to believe in certain principles. I was even conditioned by Hulk Hogan to really believe I could eat some vitamins, say my prayers, and I look like him. Then I grew up and realized all that shit was a lie. School and your upbringing and your community condition you to see America a certain way. The Republican America has conditioned people to believe that the party for business, the party for the economy, the party that gets things going is the Republican Party. And ladies and gentlemen, that is just not factually true. Maybe in your heart, them bashing all the social principles that you love, that you are happy that they do, makes you feel like the economy is working better in your favor. But on paper, ladies and gentlemen, it's not. People are losing health care. People are starving. More people are going homeless. Someone you know is probably going to lose their job and not going to know what to do and not going to have the safety net to help it. Trump came into this White House got his agenda of this big, beautiful bill, which was nothing but a remix of what he did the first time, that added 10 to 5% more for the rich people. And what has that done? He's tried to say he's going to pay for that with tariffs. His people did not know that tariffs is a tax on the American people. It's the type of tax that rich Republicans love. It's a consumption tax, ladies and gentlemen, meaning that instead of the bulk of the resources come from the people that have the bulk of the money, the bulk of the resources come from me and you, because the businesses are not taking on the burden of the taxes. Here's a quick synopsis of the econ data that I was trading today in my trading account of what happened and what caused the markets to go red today.
GDP numbers came out today. Here are some of the headlines that we're seeing. If you really look into the data, the economy is actually slowing. But this could actually be really good for the stock market, and here's why. Yes, GDP grew in the second quarter, but if you look more closely, it is a bit skewed. A lot of it is due to trade. Spending and investment actually went down. Inventories up. But these are all short-term boosters, not long-term. Personal spending has actually gone down, so consumer spending is down. Consumer spending is 70% usually of GDP. Business investment also trending down. The metric that we should really be looking at that removes a lot of this noise is sales to private domestic purchasers. You can see 1.2% growth. That's actually the slowest growth since the end of 2022. How is this bullish for the stock market? Remember, a slowing economy means more likelihood of a rate cut coming soon. I still think the market is at risk of a pullback. You can check out the link in my bio. I did a free post on that today.
Let me decipher some of what he's saying, E-Man. You know some of it because you check the stocks often, but Trump has been trying to get Powell to cut rates early. And for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say rates, there is a specific amount of money the bank by law charges you for borrowing money that has to be augmented by what the Federal Reserve sets. And Trump wants him to set it very early because these econ numbers are coming in that reflect the bull jive Trump has done to the economy. It reflects that we could be seeing a crash coming. It reflects that we could be seeing the economy, instead of growing, start slowing. And when the market pumps out more money and reduces rates in the manner that Trump wants, do y'all understand what rich people do? Rich people run around and say that since there's more money in the marketplace, we get to raise rates.
Yep.
But here's the catch, ladies and gentlemen. When that extra money comes into the market because these rates got lowered and the free flow of loans are going out, do y'all think the majority of the people getting that is the folks who make $100,000 or less? Fuck no, it's not. So you people get hit in the head twice. They get you coming by saying that because there's more money in the market, we've got to raise rates. So that's more cost you got to spend. Then they get you on the back end because all the money that they circulate, 72% of it goes to the top wealthiest people in America. So having said that, E-Man, I give you the floor. Are you at all surprised that the economy is starting to slow down and what could soon be coming to America?
Absolutely not. I mean, almost the vast majority of economists, even before the election, were like, mass tariffs, not a good thing. We did something like this. I want to say it was around Reagan's time or something like that. And it literally led to a recession. So this is not new, right? Like when we sat here and said, hey, let's do mass tariffs on everybody, it led to bad consequences for America. So this is not a brand new wild concept. This is something that's been tested. It is something that has been proven to not work and not be effective, especially when you're doing it with your allies. How you gonna sit here and act like Canada, who is our number one consumer, by the way, how you gonna act like we're getting an unfair deal from them? This goes back to the whole idea of people not being informed. I mean, to be honest,
thank you. I was going to say that.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
Prior to this election, the word tariff was not in the general lexicon. It just was not something people talked about. It was, I'm sure it wasn't a top Google search at any point. So people really did not understand what a tariff was or how it actually affects you. And I loved when supposedly Amazon was going to do it, but they pulled back. When you started seeing some manufacturers showing you, oh yeah, the reason why this is up is because of this tariff. You need that level of transparency so that people, even if you're not paying attention, I don't know about you, but like in Chicago, we would have I remember when they instituted like a sugar tax. It was like a straight sugar tax. So when you sit here and go to the corner store, right? Yeah. You get your pop, you get your soda, whatever, and you look at the receipt, you be like, wait a minute, 36 cents. What is this sugar tax? What is this? It was only because you saw it. And it wasn't just because the prices went up. No, you saw that line item. So now it really puts you on notice to be like, oh, I got to vote against that, right? I might not know how the economy works, but I do know this is stupid, right? And I don't think people still get it. I think that economists understand that. But then again, we're still talking about the same group of people that did not understand that the rate of inflation was going down under Biden and that the United States was in the lead in terms of getting their economy back post-pandemic. But that didn't matter because all they heard was the price of eggs are up. Well, where are you going to go that it's not up? Like, we are leading the charge in being the best economically speaking, but people don't want to hear that. They don't understand that. And unfortunately, when you have someone like Trump saying, I'm going to make them pay their fair share, I'm going to make sure that America is first and that everything is balanced out, don't nobody care about how and why you're going to do it. And that's why we're in this situation now. But what I do love about this, you don't have, because what are we, 6-7 months into this administration? Ain't no blame game to happen now. He tried it the first 3 months or whatever. He was like, oh, we in Biden's economy. I inherited Biden's economy, even though he didn't want to acknowledge that he inherited Obama's economy the first time and barely did anything. And that's why the job numbers were nice. That's why the economy was going in a good way, despite adding, $8 trillion to the deficit. But neither here nor there, you have no excuse for the next 3.5 years. So whatever good or bad happens in the economy, you have to own it. And we already know you don't know how to run the economy because your first priority is giving 69% of the tax cuts are going to the wealthy. 69%. So you already clearly don't care about helping the average person. Your tariffs, the problem with tariffs, just for anyone that doesn't know, tariffs are fine if they're used strategically. It's not something that we should say all tariffs are bad. That's not true. When Russia is doing something wrong, China's doing something wrong, you got to put a tariff on them to kind of help keep people in check, keep countries in check. But doing it all across the board, that's a problem. But what's even more problematic, and I'm sure you might want to touch on this, it's the level of inconsistency. It's the fact that businesses don't know what the hell you're doing because one day we got a tariff, the next day we don't have the tariff, the next day we got another tariff, and that level of inconsistency, I don't care who you are, what business you run, you can't plan for the future if you have no idea what the government is going to do literally the very next week. You can't plan that way. So consumer rates are going to go down. Business to business is going to go down. People are going to pull back. Businesses will pull back because they don't know what to expect. And if they don't know what to expect, guess what? That's going to hurt the numbers. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, when you have 2 bad quarters, that's when you actually get into a recession. So trying to get the rates to go down or what, he's trying to massage the numbers. That's all it is. He's trying to massage the numbers. But at the end of the day, the math and the numbers won't lie. Like, it's not going to work. It's just not.
Yeah. The problem is the numbers don't lie, but the people do. And you came back and hit another point that I was saying earlier in this video. The people in the MAGA bubble don't get the information discerned to them correctly. They just hear the good cherry pick parts, because you can find something good and cherry pick no matter whose economy it is. No matter, doesn't matter. They cherry picked them the first time. They cherry picked certain pieces and parts the other time, and they're doing the same thing now. The only reason that business to business was up right now is because a lot of businesses are taking precaution, buying up a stockpile of stuff from the places that they think are going to get hit with higher tariffs and sitting on it. And when the tariffs do take an effect and they're not buying as much, that rate is going to go down. The problem, E-Man, is there's not enough of the MAGA bubble paying attention to the stock market and things like that. They don't.
Well,
they just
they probably can't afford it. They probably don't even have stocks or anything like that.
Well, most people do have it. Most people do at the very least have a 401k or something with their job, which I encourage you, if you're not paying attention to that, just go call HR and just see what's up with it. Match whatever they're giving you, because that's going to be
money.
one of the
That's free money.
Thank you. Exactly. I make a living off trading stocks, so I'm into this. I've run businesses. I'm into that part too, but a lot of people ain't. And the one reason I get respect in a county that's red is because I was trained by white nationalist men on how to circumvent all kinds of things in business. And I always tell people the gateway drug to committing crimes for the average white guy is learning how to cheat his taxes. That's the gateway drug. And these guys have taught me well. And I'll give you a little secret of what they do. All that the rich people do, which is why the trickle down never worked in the first place, they accumulate all their wealth in assets so that they're not paying ordinary income, FICA, and all the other stuff that comes out of people's W-2.
Right.
And when they just let that money collect in assets, another reason why Trump wants those rates low is because they just turn around, go to the bank, get a 2% loan on however much assets they got, and they live off that.
Yep.
2% versus them having to pay 33%.
Yep.
And that's why you hear all these CEOs talking, I just take $1 salary. Nigga, that ain't altruistic.
Right.
Stop it. Stop trying to play us. But you do have the folks in the bubble that refuse when they hear something, don't have enough critical thought or interest to say, let me look this up and see if it's real or not.
And you also hear the misleading, talking points of like, oh, but the rich, they pay the most in taxes and all that. Yeah, that's misleading. Obviously, they pay more in taxes because they're rich, but that doesn't mean that they're paying their fair share. I want to say like it was the 1950s, I want to say. I think it was either under FDR or something like that, where America was its most prosperous when the tax rate was like 50%. It was something like crazy where the rich paid so much in taxes, the whole country jump started itself into the lead as being like the best. So I don't know, maybe if we actually made the rich pay, and this is why you hear a lot of Democrats talk about a wealth tax, not an income tax, but let's have them pay taxes on the amount of wealth or the assets, as you mentioned. And that will be a huge game changer. And nobody's even asking for a huge wealth tax. I think Elizabeth Warren was saying like 1 or 2%. Like that's not going to make or break them, but it will drastically change how much money gets put back into the economy and helps every single one of y'all. Okay. Because like when the government has that kind of revenue and it's not taking it from you, because keep in mind, wages have still not gone up, not to the rate where it keeps up with inflation. That's what it's a problem. Like that's nice that your job gave you a 50-cent raise, but when inflation goes up by $2, you're still behind. So you got to equal that out some way, somehow.
And as E-Man was talking about what was going on in the early 40s, late 30s under FDR, when he was like, I'm not fucking with you robber barons. Y'all gonna pay. That's when one of those opposition politicians say, we can't let him give the people something, because if you give them something, they're gonna like it.
Yep.
And what does FDR do? Social Security, Civilian Conservative Corps, Work Progress Administration, Tennessee Valley Authority, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC. He put all those things in place to regulate what the robber barons were getting away with in this country.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah, please.
So one of my exes, her great grandmother lived to be like 107, something crazy, right?
Wow.
And I remember, you know, back when we were dating, like I met her, you know, and I was talking to her, and she told me this story about how she was around before Social Security. And she was like, yeah, back in the day, you know, you take your money, you put it, you know, under a mattress, all of that stuff. And she was like, you know, then all of a sudden, Social Security came out, and didn't nobody like it? Didn't nobody trust it? Everybody was like, hell nah, whatever. And she was like, do you know why I'm able to stay in this nursing home right now? And I was like, why is that? And she was like, because of Social Security. I put my money into the Social Security early, and it was only because of that she had the money grow over time. And by the time she retired, she had money in the bank, and she was able to pay for her nursing home. And it was just so funny to me, because she was like, it wasn't until like 5-10 years later that people was like, you better not touch my Social Security. Like, they didn't see the benefit until way later. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I always tell people, any political policy that gets put into place, you're not going to get the immediate appreciation or gratification unless it's something drastic. Like the whole Affordable Care Act, that was, hey, preconditions, you got to take them, right? Like that was immediate, but you still won't feel the effects of like, what is the world, what is the country look like when more people are covered, when less people are denied, and you have less diseases or less issues because people are healthier, because now they can be covered. You don't see that until 5, 10, 15 years later. That's one of the reasons why I'm like, man, I swear, if we ever got to the place where we could get universal health care and be like those other European countries that have been thriving off of it. You go to Europe, you go to France, you go to London, they're going to look at you and be like, you pay how much for the doctor? You go to the ambulance and you got to pay what? Because it's stupid. It's crazy. Stupid. You go to France, you get into an accident. Do you know if you get into an ambulance, usually right now it costs me $200 if I need an ambulance to go to the hospital, right? You go to France or whatever, after your stay in the hospital for 2-3 days, they'll be like, man, how long you been here? 2-3 days? All right, cool. How much were you out of work? All right, we're actually going to pay you for the time that you lost. That's a radical thought for Americans. And to me, I'm sitting there like, if I'm a politician, I need to be saying that. Don't y'all want to get paid? You know, like, don't you want to, like, don't you think it's crazy that you have to pay to see your doctor when all they do is see you for 5 minutes after you already waited 30 minutes after you've been on time for your appointment? You don't think that's wild? It should not be that way. So yeah, man, like we need to have more clear communication on like the ills of certain policies like tariffs and the positives on other things that can kind of help balance those things out. Like, what does it really mean when you tax the rich? What does that really mean? What does it look like? How does it feel when that happens?
Not to mention in France, they force you to take 2 months off paid vacation.
Yes.
There's a reason they call France the place of love.
Man.
I wish it makes me wish every day when I took French in high school, instead of me trying to be in the face of these girls trying to sound French, I should have paid attention and learned the language. I was in there being stupid. But let us know what y'all think. Yeah, man. Let us know what y'all think. We finally got to the last subject. And these are always delicious to me, but they're sad because these people are never held accountable. because their voting electorate doesn't hold them accountable. We've got a superintendent of school in Oklahoma. Mind you, ladies and gentlemen, Oklahoma is last in the United States for education. Last. So one of the last people that should be fucking up is the superintendent. Well, before we even get to that, let me show you a reason why they're last in education. Here's a clip of him. And this just sets up not only why they're last in education, but to think of what he did after you hear this video. Take a listen to this.
We will be issuing a memo today that every school district will adhere to, which is that every teacher, every classroom in the state will have a Bible in the classroom and will be teaching from the Bible in the classroom to ensure that this historical understanding is there for every student in the state of Oklahoma.
What the Lord have mercy. You last in the nation in education, and instead of figuring out what you can do to make these kids more educated, you're going to throw theology at them. Okay, so let's just forget all that part. Let's just think about the fact that he is the superintendent for the whole state, last in education, and you sound like you are a man of Christ because you're putting these Bibles in the schools. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my grandma once told me, the brighter the picture, the darker the damn negative. Same guy, listen to what he's doing now.
Yeah, these documents right here answer many of the questions that people have been wondering, and it dives into some of the details of the investigation so far, into the claims that naked women were shown on TV behind the state superintendent. Oklahoma's Management and Enterprise Services, or OMES, tasked with finding out if nude women were displayed on a television in Superintendent Ryan Walters' office during a State Board of Education meeting last week. Walters told us Tuesday it didn't happen.
Can you talk about the setup in there? Can anything cast on that TV?
This is cable TV news is what we're talking about, folks. These lies that you're seeing perpetrated, what's being shown on all of your networks right now? That's what was shown on TV.
OMES looked at the TV. It did have streaming capabilities, a DVD player, and an antenna on top of cable access. OSD put out their own document to lawmakers. According to it, the Board of Ed's acting secretary was in the room with Walters before that executive session started and noted the TV was on Fox News. They also said none of Walters' devices have ever been connected to the TV. They tried to get a log of the TV's history from Samsung, but the company told them it's not possible.
But the truth will win out. The truth has won out.
Well, a little more information on the OMES document. We looked through this and it said that they even saw that there was a screening ability on that TV, but it did need a passcode. So the ability for people to do that was very limited. It also said that the TV had hundreds of apps on it that they were not able to review. And in a new written complaint that we were able to obtain tonight, State Board of Education member Becky Carson, she wrote that complaint to OMES saying that she was subject to pornographic images on the monitor of Ryan Walters and that this took place in his office during the SDE executive session. Back to you guys.
KOCO's Dakota Wapakichi. Dakota, we did want to mention this. Speaking of Oklahoma County, there are now calls for a bigger investigation. What do we know about that tonight?
Yeah, District Attorney Vicky Behena is asking the OSBI to get involved, to get in the mix of this investigation. Behena says she wants a complete and well-coordinated investigation there. And I reached out to the OSBI tonight, and I reached out to them even earlier this week, and they said they would not be getting involved unless there was something criminal. But with this request, they are getting involved. So far, again, I want to say there is no criminality found within this, but they did say that theirs and the Sheriff's Office investigations will be working together. Outside the State Department of Education, Dakota Wapakichi, KOCO.
E-Man, this is so sad. The only thing that surprises me when you look at Pretty Ricky here, the only thing that surprises me is that it sounds like he was watching women, because this dude look like he is the type that got caught up with those boys in the church, got turned out, and likes gay. This is the only thing that surprises me about him. He know good and damn well he was, E-Man, he scrubbed everything. He scrubbed it. The lady walked in and saw it, and then he hurried up and scrubbed it, and now is running to the microphone talking about when the information comes out. Buddy, you think you scrubbed everything? Every rock is not unturned. Having said that, E-Man, my issue just here is just the hypocrisy. If you're a depraved, looking for sex type of person, just come out with it. Stop projecting that you're this great person of Christ, which you can do that. You can do that and like sex, but stop projecting something that you're not even living it in accordance to yourself.
I mean, I told you this before. That's how cognitive dissonance works. They cannot undo their doctrine. Their doctrine is, hey, Christian beliefs above everything. And rather than take accountability or admit, like, yeah, man, I got a porn addiction or something like that. I mean, that would be something kind of like responsible to do.
Yeah.
Rather than do that, nah, I can't disrupt this mentality because it'll break everything else. Right? I can't
but
violate
E-Man, that's where critical thought comes into play. And if you have enough critical thought, you sit down and say, you know what, I was wrong. I'll be better when I admit that I was wrong.
I don't think that that's where critical thought comes in, because if you were to ask him, let's just say, for example, you said in an isolated situation, you go up to this guy and say like, hey, should the Bible be taught in school? He'd probably be like, yes.
Yeah.
And you can sit here and be like, well, what about separation of church and state? Whatever. Bible in school. Okay, cool. In another situation, you can say like, hey, excuse me, sir, do you think that in a school environment, porn should be available or seen or whatever? He'd probably tell you no. He would probably tell you no, that's unacceptable. It's not cool, whatever. It's not until the rubber hits the road with him. That's when all of a sudden, cannot compute. That's when it don't make sense. So that's what I'm saying. This ain't a critical issue, a critical thinking issue. They know it's wrong. The problem is just like the slave masters. They knew what they were doing was wrong.
Well, I'm not arguing for the perpetrator. I'm arguing for the people that support the perpetrator.
I'm saying for them too. It does not matter.
Man.
That does not matter, because
I got to jump out the ship on you with that one.
What you need is not critical thinking. What you need is some level of virtuous morality to be inspirational for them to break apart. Let me give you an example. For hundreds of years, racism has plagued the country, right? Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't just all of a sudden win over America overnight. That took years. He had been fighting. Look at the years from the Birmingham jail situation, from the march in Selma. It took a lot. But the turning point of what made everything happen, it wasn't just Emmett Till, right? It wasn't just the assassination in Selma. It wasn't the hundreds of riots that they did on Tulsa and all the black, race riots. It wasn't that. It was the moment they televised the dogs and the hoses being sprayed on black people for doing nothing, for being nonviolent. Again, these are the same people that would have a picnic during a lynching. Go look up the origins of the term picnic. They would literally have a whole cookout while black people were hanging from trees. But it wasn't until they started to see black folks doing absolutely nothing, which means they had no reason, no critical thinking, no nothing, to see them be attacked and bullied and vilified on national television. That's when people were like, okay, this makes me uncomfortable. Not that it changed my thinking. It made me uncomfortable. It's on TV. It's on every channel. They only have 5 channels. So you had to see that. You had to deal with it. So all I'm saying is that if you're trying to appeal to those folks, you have to do something that strikes their emotional chord. And that story, whether it's a story, whether it's it could be seen in a person, it could be seen in their own actions. It has to be something that just digs down deep and makes them realize this ain't right. This ain't cool.
Well,
and this is why
that's the
even for
thing.
this story, I would say that, like, forget the porn thing, forget that, like, whatever. This ain't the first time we've seen elected people or people in positions have a sexual deviance. This ain't the first time. It's happened on both sides of the aisles. I'd have more of an issue as a Christian, because I went to seminary school, and I can tell you one of the most shocking things was when I would listen to the actual professors or the other people in my class say some of the most wild things. Like, I'd be sitting there, I was like, wait, do we read the same Bible? What are you talking about? Like, they would literally be like, Jesus really wasn't all that. Like, excuse me? What are we doing here? We're at a Christian seminary school, and you say so. All I'm saying is there are approximately, I want to say, 45 to 54,000 different Christian denominations. My first question would have been like, which Bible you finna preach from? Which one you gonna teach my kids from? Because it better not be the King James. It better not be which one are you gonna do? Is it gonna be the NIV? Is it gonna be the NSRT? Like, what do you do? Which one? You know what I'm saying? So that in itself has so many issues. Not to mention, if you allow the Bible to be taught, you do realize that the other extreme has a leg up now. You can allow Satanists to go ahead and teach and legally advocate that their stuff, because you can't discriminate. So if you're going to pick one religion over the other, you're going to give a leg up to the other. When's the Quran going to be introduced? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could, hey, we don't want the Bible. We want the Torah instead. When are we going to put that in there? That's one of the reasons why we have the separation of church and state, because if you uplift one, you discriminate against the others. We do not live in a theocracy, and you're going to create more problems for yourself. So again, I get the hypocrisy and all that with the whole porn thing, but I'm like, dude, like, you got bigger problems by even sitting here thinking that the Bible needs to be taught. And of course, like you mentioned, y'all already last
in education.
Y'all dumb. Like, y'all are official. Like, when you're last, you're officially dumb. I'm sorry, but
and the superintendent is dumb.
Y'all
and
dumb.
That's how he,
all of y'all are dumb.
That's how he gonna get caught too. Y'all let us know what you think. I got a quick one for you, E-Man. This is about movies and film and how legislation should work, and then we'll get out of here. AI, man, is taking movies and storytelling and music to a completely different place. I know, because I'm partly involved in Hollywood, got some stuff coming out in the future. And I've been seeing all these different technologies that can almost make anyone an artist. And so with you being a movie critic and all the things you do around film, I'm going to show you something, and then I want you to tell me, what do you see as the future of legislation and the future of filmmaking when you have people that can make short films like this?
The world is frozen, locked in a grip of eternal winter. Metropolis, once bustling with life, is now a wasteland of ice and despair. Superman stands amidst the ruins, his cape frozen, his breath visible in the biting cold. He takes to the skies, determined to bring warmth back to a dying Earth. As he soars higher, the frigid atmosphere cuts through him like a blade, ice forming on his suit. Still, he presses on, breaking through the clouds toward the sun. The sun, dimmed and drained, struggles to provide light. Superman flies closer to its surface, where massive solar flares twist and burn. Shielding himself from the fiery onslaught, he fights through the intense heat, his body absorbing every ounce of energy.
And I, on purpose, picked one that had weak quality, because I have seen some that are just immaculate. What do you think is going to go on with AI in the future of filmmaking?
I think a couple of things. For one, I mean, we just got done with a whole writer strike, actor strike, director strike, and stuff like that. So, and I think that the strike only, most of the terms that they agreed on were only for like 3 years or something. But you had the situation where some of the stuff that they needed to agree to was because you had the studios wanting to use AI to like replace background actors, which that's a job, right? Like that's a job for many actors. So I know that studios are going to want to cut costs, which I'm not mad at that. That's a business decision. Like, do you really need to pay $2-3 million just to shoot video of the top of Chicago? You know what I'm saying? Or like or here we're on a planet and we need to go pay VFX to do that. Do you really need that? Probably not. You know, like if you can save a couple bucks there, I'm not opposed to that, because if anything, for the user, for the viewers, that's just background stuff anyway. But I do think that it will become problematic when and if they start using it for other stuff like that infringes on the rights of actual actors. So for example, you just heard I think Matthew Lawrence or whoever, the guy that was in Mrs. Doubtfire, and he was like, oh, I would love to use AI to bring back Robin Williams for like a Mrs. Doubtfire sequel. And of course he said with the family's consent and all that, but I mean that's kind of the point, right? Like, where are these lines going to be drawn? You know, because is it fair for a studio? Yes, you might have came up with that IP, but if it was the actor that brought that character to life, are they getting money for that? Are they getting, you know, are they earning, you know, revenue from that in the future? Is there a state getting that? Are y'all finna jump those loopholes and just kind of be like, well, they never signed away the rights and we kind of can do whatever we want? Like, that's where I think the AI will get messy, when greed overtakes, you know, actual production and stuff. And if anything, just basic civility. Like, I don't think that you should violate, or, you know, like I think it was James Earl Jones who signed away his life rights. He was just like, it's cool. Like Star Wars, y'all can use my voice for Darth Vader forever, right? That's fine. As long as we still have a choice, I'm okay with AI coexisting, because we need to make sure that whether it's for movies, whether it's for life, whatever, AI needs to be a tool for us. It should not be supplemental for other things, you know, or like our thinking, for example. But it absolutely can and should be limited to just being a tool to get productivity done faster, if that makes sense. So that's where I stand with all that.
It makes sense to me, but my opinion is simple as this. I've lived 45 years, and too many times I've seen profit over people. There's gonna be some fighting going on with
somebody's gonna try it. Yeah.
Yep, somebody's gonna try. But let us know what you guys think. E-Man, thank you so much for coming. What a discussion. I didn't know 2 hours could go by so quickly. I want to shout out my second super chat for this new channel, Michelle Wadler. I really appreciate you. Hell, you gave the first super chat. Thank you, my sister. We appreciate that. Be sure to go check out E-Man. What can the fans look forward to on your channel? I know you've already done Fantastic Four. What else you got cooking?
Let's see. I know so definitely you can come to my channel every Friday. We do a live stream and I go over all the movie news and give you my thoughts and opinion on that. And then of course, if there's a movie that's coming out, you know, that week, I'll give you guys a review for that as well. I think coming up is Weapons. So that's something that we can look forward to. There's some other movies coming up, I forget, but Weapons, that's the one I'm more excited for. I'm really, really interested in what's going on with that film. But yeah, but definitely come through. I mean, you never know. Like right now, we're streaming right now. If you go to themovieblog.com, I just posted this video just now. I'm running a contest. I'm giving away $5 Fandango promo codes. I want you to go to the movies, have a good time. Movie tickets are too expensive, but this is what you get if you follow me, right? Like, you follow me, you never know when I'm gonna do it. I don't know when I'm gonna do it. But I'm doing a contest. Go ahead, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff. But go to themovieblog.com to get the link. Or again, if you follow me, you'll see all the information as well. But yeah, man, we doing contests, live streams, reviews, all of that fun stuff.
Please go over there and check it out. It'll change your film viewing life, ladies and gentlemen. E-Man, thank you for coming. We hope we can have you back for some politics. Very, very good discussion. And y'all know we're out of here, and I'll give y'all my new favorite outro. Until the next political video, I'll see you guys.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.